When you don't recognize your own life, it's a strange feeling. You wake up one day and nothing is technically wrong. You're where you're supposed to be. You're doing what you said you would do. People probably think you're fine. And yet there's this quiet thought in the back of your head like, how did I even get here? Not in a dramatic way, more like you're standing in your own room and it feels slightly unfamiliar. The same walls, the same routines, the same people all around you, but something feels off. You ever scroll through your camera roll and see old pictures of yourself and think, dang, who was that? Not even in a glow up or glow down kind of way, just different energy, different eyes, different posture. Like you're looking at someone you used to know really well. And it's not that your life is bad. That's what makes it harder to explain. It just doesn't feel like it belongs to you the way it used to. You start asking questions you don't say out loud. Is this what I actually wanted? Or did I just keep saying yes until this became my reality? Did I choose this? Or did I slowly adjust to what was available? Sometimes life changes slowly, one small decision at a time. You take a job because it makes sense. You move somewhere because it's practical. You stay in situations because leaving feels complicated. And then years pass. And one day you look around and realize you built something you don't feel connected to anymore. That can mess with you. Because there's no big disaster to blame. No clear mistake. Just this low hum of disconnect. Of discord. Like you're watching yourself live instead of actually living. You go through your routine. Wake up, work, talk, smile. Do what needs to be done. And part of you is present, but another part feels slightly outside of it all, observing. You ever catch yourself thinking, when did I stop feeling like myself? Maybe it was gradual. Maybe you started shrinking certain parts of who you are to keep peace. Maybe you stopped chasing certain dreams because they felt unrealistic. Maybe you got tired and chose stability over curiosity. And stability isn't wrong. Responsibility isn't wrong. Growing up isn't wrong. But somewhere along the way, the version of you that felt alive got quieter. And you adjusted. It's wild how easy it is to adapt to a life that doesn't fully fit. Humans are good at surviving. We can normalize almost anything, even numbness. You start telling yourself it's fine. Everyone feels like this. This is just adulthood. This is just how life goes. And maybe some of that is true. But there's a difference between peace and autopilot. Autopilot feels like days blending together, conversations feeling repetitive, achievements not hitting the way you thought they would. You reach goals and feel nothing. No rush, no spark, just another box checked. And then the thoughts creep in. If I didn't feel connected to this, what am I even building? That can be a scary place to sit at, because changing your life isn't simple as posting a quote and reinventing yourself. There are bills, responsibilities, people who rely on you, expectations you've already committed to. So you just sit in that in-between space, not miserable, not fulfilled, just slightly detached. And it can feel lonely, even if you're surrounded by people. You laugh, you show up, you do what you're supposed to do. But there's this quiet longing for something you can't fully name. Not necessarily something bigger, just something that feels more like you. You ever think about who you were before you started worrying about what makes sense? Before you calculated every move, before you filtered your personality, before you traded passion for predictability. Sometimes not recognizing yourself isn't about failure, it's about drift. You drifted away from certain interests, drifted away from certain people, drifted away from certain parts of yourself. Not intentionally, just slowly. And drift is subtle. It doesn't announce itself. It just creates distance. There's also grief in realizing you participated in building something that no longer excites you. It's easier to blame circumstances, harder to admit you played a role. But that doesn't mean you're stuck forever. Sometimes the first shift isn't dramatic. It's small. It's noticing what feels heavy, noticing what drains you, noticing what makes you slightly more alive. You don't have to burn everything down to reconnect with yourself. Sometimes it starts with tiny things. Saying no when you usually say yes. Revisiting something you used to love. Speaking more honestly in small conversations. Dressing how you actually want. Spending time alone without distracting yourself. I know, it sounds simple, but it's not. Because when you've been on autopilot for a while, slowing down feels uncomfortable. You start hearing your own thoughts more clearly. You notice the gaps. You notice the dissatisfaction. But that awareness is important. If you don't recognize your life, it doesn't automatically mean you ruined it. It might just mean you outgrew parts of it. And growth always creates friction before it creates clarity. You're allowed to question the path you're on. You're allowed to pivot. You're allowed to admit something doesn't feel right anymore. You don't have to wait for everything to collapse before you adjust and rebuild. And maybe the real shift isn't about changing your entire life overnight. Maybe it's about slowly bringing yourself back into it. Asking yourself small questions. What actually matters to me now? What feels real? What feels forced? Where do I feel most like myself? Those answers don't show up instantly, but the fact you're asking means you're waking up a little bit. And waking up feels uncomfortable at first, but it's better than sleepwalking through years you won't get back.